Hey guys, Duke here. I want to talk to you today about the Spank meta. What do I mean by Spank? That would be speed plus tank. It's the current meta that we're in here in PvP in Summoner's War. So in particular in Arena, but also in Guild Wars. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about Arena here and some of the common types of Arena defenses you're going to see here at the G3 level. This is Sunday. I can't really show you Guild Wars because they're not up on Sundays, but I can show you at least some of the defenses you might encounter here. So there are two common types of Arena offenses. One would be a speed clear team, such as Tiana, Galleon, Zyros, or maybe Double Lucian, or Leo in place of a Bernard for a Double Lucian setup, things like that. So there are many different types of speed offenses in Arena. There are also going to be mid-range or bruiser comps. Now those tend to take a little bit longer, and so those are oftentimes not as ideal for rush hour simply because they're going to take you more than a few seconds to clear each defense. So a bruiser type monster would be something like maybe Camila, Kumar, those types of monsters. They can do good damage. They can also take a hit. They can live through the initial burst of a speed AD, for example, and then typically kill them because a speed AD oftentimes doesn't really have that much sustaining power. So if you can outlast the initial burst, you're fine. So let's take a look at some examples of Arena defenses that are meant to actually counter each of those. Now keep in mind, it's not quite rush hour yet, and so that means that we won't see quite as many of the tank defenses with like Arena, Camila, etc. But here's one example of, well, there's Arena. So here's an example of Arena, and this is a fairly tanky defense. It's a stall defense. Notice that there's not a whole lot of speed threat. This team is likely not going to go first, but Arena there is really hard to speed clear. You typically would need to use more of a bruiser type monster, like maybe a Pung Bake to one-shot her, or you could use Thessarion to Oblivion her, or really, I mean, any typical bruiser comp will be able to kill Arena. It's just it's going to take more than a few seconds, and so people don't like to do that when it comes to rush hour. That's why Arena is so popular these days in the last, like, let's say 10 minutes of rush hour. Here we have more of a speed-oriented defense with a really fast Orion. Zyros is going to punish you if Orion gets to go first. We have Juno there to remove buffs, which is really nice for people who try to use Chloe and immunity, for example. And then Ritesh is just always awesome for AD in general and PvP. Okay, here is a very classic kind of a speed, but also a bit of a mid-range comp. So this is interesting because we have Vanessa for the speed lead, but we don't really have an initiator except for Vela here. But there's enough sustain that this team could potentially live through an initial burst and then come back to punish a speed team like the one I have here. This team might also be able to outlive a bruiser comp, and if Theo procs enough, then that could kill a bruiser comp. So that's kind of the idea behind this comp. This one is more just straight up speed. Again, we have a speed lead here with Ciara, and Leebly has really strong bombs in combination with Ciara here to blow them up. And then we have Tiana, of course, to get rid of any shields if you try to use Chloe to prevent the bombs. So, and then I believe Chasanir is mostly for the attack buff, but also it provides a little bit more of the sustain in case this team would live through the initial burst. So you guys probably want to actually see some of this in action and see how a speed team would fare against that. Why don't we take a look at a couple of these teams, like this one, for example. Here's one example of a speed team, and I'll just show you how it might act against a team that's more of a bruiser hybrid comp. So with my team, It's all about getting this initial burst off. And the thing is, if it's unable to kill in the initial burst, probably in big trouble. Okay, so Chasten's gone. Okay, well that's the whole point of the Bella there. Right, now Chasten's gonna come back and might be in trouble. And so, of course, I have no healers, so basically I need to finish these guys off as quickly as possible. Any more violent procs and I might be in trouble. But no, looks like it's okay. There we go. So that's an example of a speed clear, not super speedy, but fast enough. Let's look at another example here, so I could use this. Now the interesting thing about Tiana is that she's typically pretty fast, but she's not going to be as fast as, let's say, a Bernard in most cases, because Bernard is meant to be as fast as possible, but Tiana, if she's too fast, she's not going to cleanse Chloe's buff. Like, she might go before Chloe, and then Chloe puts a shield up, and what was the point of that, right? So let's take a look and see how the speed team would fare against a speed offense. Okay, so we got rid of Leadley there, and this should basically finish it off. So essentially, because I have a pretty fast Bernard, I was able to clear that one pretty quickly, and that's the kind of clears you'd like to have during rush hour if possible. So you can see some of these other ADs. This one again is more speed oriented, in that we have a speed leader with a Bernard that's very fast. I couldn't use this exact team against this AD because my Bernard without a speed leader probably would get outspeeded. Outsped, I don't really know. I don't know if it matters. Let's take a look at this one. This is an interesting team. It looks like it's going to be, easy kill, right? But if the Dark Mermaid's fast enough, she can buff first, and then you're going to have an issue killing her. Or if you don't kill this whole team because of Diaz here in the initial burst, then this Dark Mermaid can really mess up the team afterwards. So this is, again, one of those kind of more mid-range type comps. Another mid-range, Praha is sort of classic for that, because if Praha is on Nemesis, then she's going to heal after your first Lucian goes, which basically full heals the team, and you're in trouble. That kind of depends on the speed of the Praha, of course, and whether you're using a 2 set of Nemesis versus 4 set of Nemesis, which is viable these days. But again, this is more mid-range. It's meant to take the hits and come back and defeat your speed team afterwards. This is more of a speed comp, speed leader, attack bar booster, shielder, and big nuke. So again, if you don't outspeed this team, then Xyrus is going to mess up your day. And let's look at this last one here. Okay, again, more mid-range comp. We have Molly, which helps to prevent especially single-hit AoE nukers like Xyros from really landing, because she has that glancing passive. We have Huadam, which prevents people from being one-shot typically because of his passive. And then we have Praha here, which will remove your buffs and then heal a ton in between your nukers. So it makes this very hard to speed clear as well. So this would be more of a team you'd want a bruiser against, and that would slow you down a bit in your rush hour comp. So anyway, this is just a little insight into some of the arena defenses that you're going to run into here in the top ranks. I guess Guardian 3. But again, it does change quite a bit when it comes to rush hour defense. Keep that in mind. So a lot of these defenses are not really up during rush hour. You're going to see a whole lot more arenas. You're going to see a whole lot more Camilla, tank Camillas in particular, come up. A lot more stall, because a stall defense isn't going to win in most cases, but it's going to prevent a speed clear so you don't lose that fast. For people who still refill their wings, then that's a great strategy, because you can win faster than you lose, and therefore you gain rank. I don't actually refill my wings anymore because all of my glory buildings are maxed out. And I showed that before, but I can show you here. that if you have all max glory buildings, like I bought every single scroll. I've even bought the Angelmon. Here, I could buy one today as well. And I still have glory left over with literally nothing to spend it on. And I haven't refilled. So, this week. So it's one of those things that it's kind of pointless for me to refill wings anymore because it doesn't help me at all. But for most people who haven't maxed everything, it can be really a valuable use of your resources because actually those glory building buffs are awesome. They apply everywhere, so I highly recommend working on those first. Don't buy the scrolls unless you're maxed out like me. All right, so I hope you found this a little bit insightful into the Spank meta. So again, speed versus tank that we're currently in here in Summoner's Wars. Like if you liked it, and subscribe to keep it coming. Thanks, guys.